Hi everybody, welcome back. It's been a couple of weeks since I've taken to YouTube, just gathering my thoughts and seeing what was out there, and seeing what I could do to help, or just talk about COVID, unemployment, retirement rehearsals, I'm now calling them, put things on a proper spin. My sister's now been laid off, so we have a lot of time to do research and just to decide what's next. And I'm going to talk, I was thinking about a couple of things. And one of the things that came to mind was a friend of mine, Luke, a very smart man. And Luke had one of these retirement rehearsals a few years back. And we were chatting about it, and what he realized was he was not prepared for retirement. And not monetarily wise. I mean, a lot of us spend a good portion of our time thinking about it. You know, we've got investment plans, we've got pensions, we've got all sorts of good things about that. What he wasn't prepared for was the time off. You know, the first few weeks, the first month maybe, might even be considered a vacation, you know? And then what do you do? And he found that if he did not have a plan for the day went away. And I can completely agree with that. If I don't get up at a certain time and have a list of things to do, nothing gets done, and it's evening. You can go to a much more natural sleep pattern for you. A lot of us, you know, the 9-to-5ers, you know, we have these patterns that we, you know, we're in bed by 10, you know, you're up by 6, all sorts of good things. Well, you're going to find out that maybe you're a night owl. Maybe you are a morning person. My father was up at 5 o'clock every morning of his life. My mother, oh heavens, noon was good. Noon was very good. In fact, the man learned very early on in the marriage that if he tried to get his wife up without a cup of tea, that was probably not a good thing. So he solved the problem. She got a cup of tea in bed, woke up, it was a morning newspaper at the time, and he would get us up and get the breakfast on. And then she would come out and she would be this cheery little person. But she was not a morning person, and he was. That's something else you're going to think about. You know, your partnerships. How is this going to work with this time off? Now, some of us have had it with COVID, but there's been a work element to it. You go to your office, they go to their office, and you get that done, right? You come out for coffee breaks, dinner, lunch. But when you don't have that, you really have to work on it. You have to decide what it is you're going to do. And if you weren't prepared for it, and people said, I'm going to travel the world. Well, we can't. You know, we're going to visit the relatives, we're going to visit the grandkids, we're going to visit all sorts of things. We can't. If you're in Canada, this is winter. Gardening's out, unless you've got indoor gardening. There is a lady from Halifax, sorry, I do not have her name. She does winter gardening. That would be a good one to come up with, because that's something we could do for about 8 months of the year. But it's, what are you going to do with the time? How is this going to work? What is this going to look like? And again, it's very individual. And if Luke had not mentioned that to me, if we had not had this discussion, I wouldn't be prepared for this. Even if we are getting ready for retirement, and again, a lot of it is focused on finance, where you're going to retire to, but are you prepared for how you're going to spend your hours? How are you going to spend your time? Now's the time to do it. Let's do some practice. You know, in Canada, we all have RRSPs, or most of us have RRSPs. Well, RRSPs are based on the last 3 years of your work life. That's what they do. They take an average and they say, this is how much income tax you're going to pay when you take your RRSP out. That's generally at your highest level, by the way. I always tell friends that I was going to retire at least 3 years early from my larger paying jobs and go work at Starbucks. That's still on the cards, by the way. Or maybe you need to get a part-time job. Something to knock down this amount of taxes that you're going to pay. Hopefully the Canadian government does not figure that out too soon and find a way of stopping that. They're awfully good at collecting money, not necessarily so good at sending it out. Having said that, there's an awful lot of people making money off COVID via our government. So what I do now, and after the first basic month, again, it was like a vacation. You could rest up. You could walk the dog more often. Is I'm up at 7:30 every morning. I'm up at 7:30. I do have a part-time job. It starts at 10, my time, ends at 3. So if I'm up at 7:30, then I have 3 hours before I start work. That takes care of housekeeping, bill paying, video planning, and menu planning, which is something I've always done. And then you go to work, and then you have to have afternoon. Doggy needs to get walked morning and evening. And you need to do your hobbies. If you don't have them, may I suggest you get them. Now, we always think of hobbies as knitting, reading, glasswork, carving. I started that last week. I'll be showing up my stick soon when I'm finished it, because I've carved it. A friend of mine has been looking for hobbies forever. She has tried everything. And she called the other day laughing because she realized her hobby was walking. Now, she is planning to walk several large walks. When I'm talking walks, I'm talking days of walking. So what she's done is she's planned them out. Because she said, I need to know that I can walk that distance. So she has planned the distance. And she now walks that distance consistently every day. So if she's on a 200-mile walk, then she's going to walk, for 10 days, she's going to walk 20 miles a day. I know. It's amazing. But she's doing it. She is preparing herself for when the time comes that she can do this. Be it a year from now when COVID is over. Yes, I'm believing COVID is over. Or when she retires. Either way, she's in shape, the dog's happy, and she knows she can walk the places that she wants to walk. And all because we had a conversation from somebody who's already done this. And this was a few years ago, and he's now prepared. And he helped us. Shout out to Luke, thanks very much. Because I've passed that information on, I'm passing it on here. And it's important. We're living longer, and we're retiring earlier. I mean, the idea of retiring at 65 was the average death in Canada was 60. The idea was that we would put a retirement age on something and you wouldn't live it. 100 is not unusual now. What are you going to do for 40 years after you retire? I mean, I've got 42, 45, 48 years of retirement if I stop now. That's a huge amount of time. You can become the professor you wanted to. You could take your entire doctorate if you wanted to. You could become the art expert. If you're on YouTube right now, there is a group of seamstresses that have gone back to whatever period of antiquity they like and are literally sewing in the manner that the garments were sewn in. It may sound odd to you. It may sound ridiculous. These guys are experts now in this field of redoing sewing. And it helps to find out how you made a garment without a light bulb, sewn by hand, how long did it take, what were the materials that were used. And that information can be passed on to somebody who's trying to figure out how people lived. Glenn and Friends. Glenn, I keep talking about Glenn and Friends because I was watching him the other day. was watching him today. He did a recipe today that's 200 years old, and it's really good. He gets into the history of making food, right? The history of how things were made. What did it mean to make something? Why would we do it in such a manner? What were the ingredients? 200 years ago, it was almost impossible to be a vegetarian. To be a vegetarian in the 1800s, you were eccentric and rich because you couldn't do it. It was a meat-based diet, and that's what people had. A lot of these recipes he does has suet. For anybody who doesn't know what suet is, it's beef fat. And it was added to everything. This was kind of a pudding. It was made in a fry pan, which was very different. It was sweet, but it had suet in it. And it had suet because there was no central heating. And you were burning calories, huge amounts of calories. And you needed that fat in order to do it. You needed it to stay warm. That's one of the reasons you had it. That's why fat was put into things. If you're from Scotland, if you're from Scottish background, your mother would be chasing you with a spoon saying, eat your oatmeal. It keeps you warm. Because you needed it to burn these calories to make you warm when you're working out in the fields, when you're working in the mines, when you're sitting in school and there was a little pot-bellied stove in the corner. That's what you were doing. You were burning calories. He's become an expert at this. He'll say, no, he's not. But I've had more lessons from him than I've had from many chefs that I've trained under. And he's just cooking the way everybody else did. He now knows, he understands what it means to cook and why. It's become a little cottage industry to him. These are the things that you can be doing when you understand that you have a tremendous amount of time. You can go through your entire house and paint it if you wish. You can learn how to sew, learn how to knit, learn how to carve, learn how to do carpentry. Maybe things need to be fixed. As my sister said, and I've repeated it before, if you want to know how to build a planet, go to YouTube. Somebody's got not only how to do it, but they've got the plans as well. If you want to learn anything, take some time. Take some time and do stuff. Learn how to do it. And not just learn, become an expert at it. And then give yourself the permission not to like it. You don't have to be good at it at first. Practice is perfect, or makes perfect, or makes your perfect. I'm not going to say perfect anymore. Makes your perfect. If you don't like it, stop. Another friend I have, we were all having a little knitting circle. She decided she was going to learn how to knit. We taught her how to knit. The woman hates knitting. So don't do it. Go find some, rug hooking? No, rug hooking she can do. Oh my God. And it's a rug hooking that comes from the east coast of Canada. And I guess it's punching, I guess. You put the wool in. Stunning. Absolutely stunning work. But she's not a knitter. So don't. I pulled out my gemology books the other day too. Because I was this close to getting my gemology. I got into oil and gas. So I thought, I'm already an accredited jewelry person. And that's the basics of how to sell jewelry, how jewelry is made, what gemstones are doing what. But I never gave myself permission to finish the gemology course. Well, I'm going to be finishing the gemology course. I may never sell another piece of jewelry, but I'm going to do it because I've got 40 years to fill. And I've got a part-time job that I love. 180 Kitchens is a hoot. I keep telling you, if you were down in the Lower Mainland, you need your cabinets refaced, go there. These are good people. And standards? Oh my God, they have standards. Oh, somebody's asking me about the jewelry I'm wearing, which is, I don't know if you can see it here. Well, you must be able to see something because people keep asking about this. Maybe you see this better. This is the ring I'm wearing. It comes from a company from Alberta called Korite International. And the stone is Ammonite. And Ammonite comes from Ammolites. Now, Ammolites are fossils. They're 70 million years old. And they were formed here. They're all over the world. They look like a nautilus, fundamentally. Something changed here. And when I say here, I'm talking about Alberta. It changed the substance of the stone, where it colored it just really vibrant colors. And it's now a gemstone. And in order to be a gemstone, you have to have a certain amount of it. It has to be readily available to be able to sell. And it has to be of a certain standard. The GIA, the Gemological Institute of America, was the one that gave this one the accreditation. And in Canada, you cannot break up an ammonite to sell it for jewelry. So these guys literally go in with a scoop, and they scoop up the dirt. It's in a shell. They shake it. They see what sparkles. They have a couple of spotters. The spotter says, oh, just a second here. They pull it out. They put it to the side. And then with dental tools, they go in and they flick off the shale to find these just extraordinary fossils. Most of the time, the fossils, they've been compressed for the last 70 million years, are in pieces. So they put them all back together. They take pictures of them. They send them to the Tyrol Museum. The museum then says, yep, you can sell it, or thank you so much. This is a rare species. We'll take that for ourselves. No charge. And anything that's left over, which is a box of pieces that don't fit into these shells, that's what they make the jewelry out of. I say that because there's a lot of people say, but wait a minute. No, they don't do anything bad. They were the ones that brought this stone to the forefront. They were the ones that opened their vaults and said, Gemological Institute of America, come look. And their quality is very high. This is the elements pattern. It's little pieces of ammonite in very, very modern setting. I tell you that because these are people that took risks, right? And this is my background. I used to sell jewelry. And I sold quality jewelry, and this is quality jewelry, and people have asked me what this is. Another thing about ammonite, there's so many colors in it, it's neutral. You can wear it with literally everything. You can dress it up, you can dress it down. Wear it all the time. And now that I've given that lovely plug out to Korite, you want to call Lucia. Lucia at Korite. She'll set you up. She'll tell you where to find it. There is a store online as well. But yeah, it's a great stone. I digress. But then I always do. We're talking about filling our time. There's another time. Go study something. Go study an ancient language. I once knew a fellow in Saskatoon that was a reverend. And he'd come along and had some health issues, so being an active reverend, he could sub out, he could do things like that. He didn't work for him so well. Like he had very limited time where he was able to do that. So he started to learn Sanskrit. And he did that because it was believed to be the language that Jesus spoke. Don't quote me. I don't know if that was the language that Jesus spoke. But this was what he was studying. And he was becoming really good at it. To the point where he was getting phone calls saying, so, what does you think this says? Be different. Expand. Don't sit on the couch and watch television. Unless your hobby is sitting on the couch and watching television. Sorry, the face? Yeah. People ask me how come I can get so much done. Television isn't part of it. Oh, hey, I veg with the best of them. There are days when you want to do a movie day and it's 12 hours long and it's movie after movie after movie. But if you turn it off at night, pick up a book, learn something, do something, try something, you feel a lot better during the day. So again, I'll be here next week. I'm a little bit behind. My learning curve this year is to do 52 videos. And I hope my 21 subscribers keep watching. I hope everybody else watches. I would actually like to get to 100 subscribers. I think that would be cool. So please subscribe. Pass it on. Like. Follow. But hit that subscribe button. If you're one of these folks that just look at videos, and I used to be until I got in behind YouTube and figured out what you had to do. I mean, I would faithfully watch somebody. I just didn't hit that subscribe button. They need to hit that subscribe button. Because after you've had so many hours, which is 1,000 viewing hours, and 100 subscribers, at 100 subscribers, I can change the name. You don't get that, all those numbers. It would come up, YouTube, laid off at 58, and then you could pop right into those videos. You get the label, basically. But you also get a check. And quite frankly, I'd like a check. My ultimate goal is to figure out how I make money passively. I know how to work hard. I've done that all my life. Now I want to learn how to work smart. Have some fun. Oh, fun is definitely part of it. After all of these years of working, if it's not fun, I'm not working there. And that's something else you may want as a goal. Let's have some fun. Because most of us, when we've been working, it has not been fun. It's been work. There's been funny patches. But now that I'm not working in certain areas, I'm thinking, sweet Jesus, how did we do it before? So, next week, I'll have a different topic. I have an unemployed sister, so she's going to be my research analyst. She's really good at it, too. And who knows, maybe she'll be standing beside you, or beside me. And then you'll find out that we're twins. Matching set of bookends. So next week, I'll see you then. Please be kind to each other. We need some kindness in this world. I'm Jean.